Hey everybody, this is Charles Blair, the mad scientist, and I'm with my man. I have been working with this guy for a number of years, and I'm just amazed of his success. He is, in my opinion, the number one real estate investor in the DMV, and I'm talking about Washington, D.C., Nate Joy.
Good morning, Charles. Thanks so much for that exciting intro. If I could get you to introduce me like that, I'd be great.
Well, first of all, in my eyes, you're already great because you're going to talk about a topic that a lot of investors overlook. As a matter of fact, a lot of them think it's really over their head when they go into this topic. It's all about the seven-figure millionaire mindset. And I want you to give everybody just a little bit of information about who you are. Then we go deep in details about what this looks like.
Great. Yeah, definitely. So as Charles said, my name's Nate Joy. I was born and raised in the DC area. I'm one of 11 children, so I'm the oldest. Grew up in a household full of mouths to feed. Needless to say, from very, very humble beginnings. My dad, typical hard labor worker, 12 hours. So from a young kid, I always had a dream that I wanted to get a little further. He showed me the strength of hard work, and I wanted to get a little further in life. And so I ended up getting into real estate investing later on in my career. And today, hopefully, we'll talk about a little bit of my journey, some of the things that I went through, some of the things that I think will help your listeners, because many of them are in the same places that I was when I first started out. So I'm looking forward to a good power-packed hour here, Charles.
Yeah, and the good part about what you just got finished saying, Nate, is the fact that we're talking about the mindset. When a lot of investors, especially the new investors, start thinking mindset, their eyes get glazed and wondering, I mean, this is going to be hard. This is going to be something that is going to be boring. But is success boring? And that's what we're talking about. Give people just a sneak peek of last year as a real estate investor and how your mindset has taken you to a point where you're making seven figures a year doing real estate. Give people a taste of that.
Exactly. So I think it really all starts with the formula. I've had a passion for studying successful people over the last 2 decades. And for the early part of my career, probably similar to some of the listeners on this podcast, I just couldn't figure it out. I thought I had a positive attitude, and I was putting in definitely a lot of hours. But in the beginning with real estate investing, I was only making 5 figures. I was able, after studying the successful people, to finally crack the code and figure out the formula. And this is how the formula goes. It all starts with dreams. Here's the issue. From the time we were little kids, Charles, 4 and 5, we all dreamt about whatever, being in the NBA, playing with Barbie dolls. We all had dreams, right? Yes. Then what happens? We go to school. The first day of school, I'm sitting there and the teacher says, Nate, stop looking out the window. Stop daydreaming. So from the very beginning of once we get into school, we start being told it's not good to daydream. So I would put it like this, Charles. Dreams are the fuel to our bodies. We are vehicles. And the question becomes, do you want to be a car or do you want to be a rocket ship? Many of us right now are cars. We're basically on low-grade fuel, whatever that might be. We're driving around on the ground and we're going from place to place. And many of us fill up our tanks with dreams. But what happens? We drive around, we kind of go in circles, we end up right where we started. And now the tank is empty or with very little gas. When we think of dreams, and this is very important, we have to dream big, Charles. That is the beginning part of the whole mindset. I like to call it RP1 dreams. RP1 is fuel for rocket ships. So we have to envision ourselves no longer as cars on the ground, just kind of riding around aimlessly. We have to envision our bodies as rocket ships, get that big goal that we're shooting for, and take off. And I guarantee you that is the starting process. That's the starting point of the process, Charles.
Now, I love what you're saying. I want you to really drill down and tell people, how did that translate to success in your real estate business last year? In other words, give them some numbers. How many deals, what you've done last year, just last year alone. Let them understand how putting these two things together really help uplift your bottom line.
Exactly. Okay. So I'll jump right into that just to let them know. So it starts with dreams, and then the formula goes mindset plus information plus habit. So what you're referring to is mindset on the deals. Prior to me making 7 figures, I used to make 5 figures doing real estate. And I actually started in the Baltimore area. And this is kind of how the progression went. I got into real estate investing. I was scared. My limiting beliefs was I wasn't sure if I could actually do it. So I started flipping houses in Baltimore. I was happy if I made 10 to 20 grand per deal.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was doing that. And one day my brother said, hey, there's a house in PG County. Why don't you consider, you already know how to flip. Why don't you consider doing it in PG County? I'm actually from PG County, know the area. And I thought to myself, well, the average house I'm buying in Baltimore is like 30 grand. This house in PG County is 130 grand. It was 100 grand more than what I was used to paying for houses. I was scared, Charles. And now you have to understand, this is prior to me understanding about the subconscious and the mindset. I went ahead, I did the deal. I ended up making like $50,000 on the deal. And so I pretty much doubled my profit potential. And that kind of opened my eyes. And so what happened was I was like, wow, I have the skill set. I can do that. Here's the interesting thing. So now you're making 50,000 on a flip, but I'm only doing like, say, 2 deals, 3 deals a year, because that's what I thought I was capable of doing. Talk to some other people. They say, hey, we're doing 20 deals a year. So then that's when, once again, the fear factor kind of comes in. You're a little concerned. You're like, man, how am I going to do this? And then you just kind of go on out and you try it. So then I was able to go from doing 2 deals a year to 10 deals a year. So this is early on in my career. Now, fast forward, went through all of these learning processes. Now I'm mainly in the DC market, where now my mind has been opened up to, I can do a rehab deal, and on one deal, I can make over $250,000. So it's just kind of how, when you change your mindset, things change. So if I was dreaming big from the very beginning, instead of doing 25,000 a deal, I'd have been doing $250,000 a deal. And it's a whole learning process, and we can kind of get into this. And so now, basically last year, I was able to make well over 7 figures, and it's a lot easier when you're making 6 figures per deal that you're doing. If that makes sense.
So what you're saying is you have that mindset. With that mindset of that level comes big habits, big mindsets.
Exactly. But here, let's talk a little bit, because mindset is well talked about, but very little is understood. And when I say mindset, we're not talking about the marketing message that we hear from people, change your mindset, $47, think like a millionaire. When I say mindset, we're really talking about the scientific definition of your mind, which is your conscious level and your subconscious level. Think of your mind in two parts, conscious, subconscious. Here's the interesting thing. 5% of what we do is on a conscious level. 95% of what we do is subconscious. This is crazy. So when you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth subconsciously with your right hand. You start on one side of your mouth, move to the other. You don't even know you're doing this, but you're doing the same exact things. If you're right-handed, you go to walk up some steps, you're immediately using your right foot. You probably never even noticed this. After I tell you on the podcast, you'll probably pay attention now. When you're right-handed and you go up the steps, guaranteed your right foot is the first one to go. No one knows this because what it is, Charles, it's in our subconscious. And like I was saying, it's very important because here's the challenge. And this is what took me from being unsuccessful to successful. It all starts with how we process information. And it goes back to where we were in school. If you remember the formula is mindset, which is your subconscious, plus information, plus work habits. When we go to school, the majority of us get general knowledge. We learn, we do nothing with the knowledge. We go to the next grade. So it's basically just accumulation of general knowledge. That's exactly what I was doing when I started my real estate career. I would go to every free webinar. I would go to every free event. I was accumulating all of this general knowledge and I wasn't doing anything with it. It's the craziest thing in the world, but it's not our fault, Charles. We have been conditioned from the time we were kids at school. So here's where the change happens. Mindset plus information plus habits. Most people, when they try to change, they start on the right side of the equation. And I was the same way. I tried to change my habits. I said, okay, how do I find these deals? I have to send out postcards. I have to make phone calls. But guess what? I would gas up my car, right? I would make the phone calls for a week. I would get tired and stop. I said, I'm stopping.
Preach on.
We all do it, right? You get gassed up in the car and we do things 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's unbelievable. And then we stop. And it's no fault of our own. But what the successful and the rich people do, they start on the left side of the equation. Think about this. It goes conscious, subconscious, and then body. The way the work, you bring it into your conscious, you get it into your subconscious, then you change your habits. We've already proven it, right, with school. And so what people are trying to do, they start with the body to change the subconscious. It's like pushing on a brick wall. So here's the challenge. You say, okay, Nate, that's great, but how do I change my subconscious? Your subconscious works like this, Charles. Let me ask you a question. What kind of car do you have and describe it to the listeners?
Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
What does it look like?
Red.
What kind of wheels?
Red sports car.
Thin wheels?
Thick with fat wheels.
Okay. Inside leather, interior?
Yes.
All right. What color is the interior?
Black.
Black. Okay. Here's how your subconscious works. I asked you about your car. What immediately came to your mind? A picture of your car. You literally went into your mind and pulled up the pictures. Our mind only works in two ways, Charles: words and pictures, okay? Words and pictures. Once we learn how to effectively put positive images and positive words into our mind, that is the starting point. The second rule of the mind: our mind does exactly what we tell it to do. Our mind does exactly what we tell it to do. Okay? If I tell my mind I am going to make $25,000 on a flip, and that's my business model, I think that the most I can make is 25,000. Guess what? My mind is going to find me deals that make me $25,000. If I tell my mind that I can make $250,000 on a deal, guess what my mind does? It starts looking for deals where I can make $250,000. What were you going to say, Charles? Jump in.
So what you're saying is that it all begins with the subconscious level.
All subconscious, because 95% of what we do is subconscious. And so if you want to change your habits, which are going to change your results, you have to start with the subconscious. And this is why most New Year's resolutions fail within 3 weeks. Because what are people trying to do? People are trying to change physical habits without changing their subconscious. So you have to believe that you're going to be a millionaire before you're the millionaire. It's counterintuitive, and I know it sounds like voodoo. Believe me, people, believe me, it is so simple. Once you change your mind, you change your results. Go ahead.
So based on that, where are most investors having their biggest challenges when it comes to the success formula?
Exactly. Once again, it's no fault of our own. That the biggest challenge is it's mindset plus information plus habits. Many of us skip over mindset piece, and what do? We go directly to the information. I find one of the biggest challenges for investors is that we're constantly trying to find the next big thing. I remember when I started out as an investor, like I said, I would go to different seminars, and I would one week I would be on buy and hold, and I would get a little bit of information. And then the next week I would try to be on rehabbing, get a little information. The challenge is that I was never giving my mind enough time to develop my subconscious habits. Where life changed for me, Charles, is where I committed. And what we're looking for is not general knowledge, but specific knowledge. So what we get in school is general knowledge. We read a lot of different books. We read everything. We just get general knowledge. What the rich do, they get specific knowledge. You only need a little bit of knowledge, and you can make a lot of money with it.
Okay, keep that mindset. Tell me, how does the guy that wants to do real estate, instead of him going through all these different YouTube videos and so on, how does that translate to a specific thing he should do to be successful in this business?
Great question. So here is the key to success. Find somebody that is a subject matter expert in what you're trying to do. Okay, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So you get a coach, you find somebody, and they just need to be one step ahead of you. So it could be a paid coach, it could be a mentor, it could be whatever. Find out what that secret sauce is. So for me, it was real estate through flips. So now it's no problem going on YouTube and watching 1,000 videos. The difference is you're watching 1,000 videos all on flipping. Here's the difference. You're just watching it on flipping. So really, it's the old saying, we don't want to be a jack of all trades. We want to be a master of one, okay? The key to success is once you, and you told me this, Charles, when we met. I remember meeting with you and I was like, I want to do marketing. I want to do postcards. I'm going to call people. I'm going to do this. And you told me, you said, hey, young buck, slow down, slow down. Pick a marketing channel, dominate it. Once you dominate it, and you probably don't even remember the conversation. Look, we were over at Root Steakhouse. You're chewing on your steak. My man loves some steak. He's over there chewing on that steak, in between giving me the information to make millions of dollars. So, and that I took to heart. And so it's crazy. I don't have it with me. But if you see these little postcards that you get in the mail, I never understood why people would send this crazy little postcard out. I was like, it looks terrible. But guess what? One of my biggest deals came from a little postcard that looked so rinky-dinky, and that little postcard like made $250,000. So it's counterintuitive to what we learned in school, and it's really counterintuitive to what people say, right? Most people say, read a lot of books and get smart. Read a lot of books. No, what you do is you find the one book that gives you all the information. You don't read 1,000 books. You read the one book that gives you all the information, and you read it 1,000 times. You read the same book day in, day out, till you can pretty much write it. And then that's how you become. And that's what happens. It goes into your subconscious, okay?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. All the sense in the world. Now, I love what you're saying because I agree with you 150%. There's no doubt about what you're saying. But you're still going to have those naysayers out there that say, well, I understand about the subconscious, but I mean, he said I should do this, and she said I should do that. And I mean, how do I know who's right and who's wrong?
Once again, it's easy if you follow the formula. This is not my formula for success. This is the formula for success. JP Morgan, Charles Schwab, all of these guys, we're talking, I'm talking about 7 figures, but the people that have like created and taken this information, we're talking billionaires, okay? This is the formula for success. And so here's the thing. If you're not getting the results you want, you have to change your mindset. Your mindset is the subconscious. And if you know the formula, which is dreams, mindset plus information plus habits, it's easy because you can look at the formula and you can check it off. Is my dream big enough? How big is your dream? If your dream is not keeping you up at night and it's not getting you up early in the morning, okay, what most people don't know, Charles, you know, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but this was recorded at 7 a.m. in the morning. However, you and I are texting at 5 a.m. in the morning. Mm-hmm. We have this much energy because we both have a dream and a passion to help as many people as we can succeed. And when you have that, I don't know about you, Charles, I don't have an alarm clock. I automatically, sometimes I have to keep myself in bed till 5 a.m. because I'm so excited. My brain is thinking and it's passionate. It all starts with the dreams. So you just do your check mark. Is your dream big enough? Then the mindset, information, habit. Here's the thing. Information is the least important part of the equation. So to your listeners who are saying, I heard this guy say this, I heard this guy say that. You don't need any more information than what you already know, okay? God has given us more talent and ability than we'll use in a lifetime, and our gift is to use as much of that God-given talent and ability in this lifetime. So you have the information. Here's the issue. If people aren't succeeding, it's because the little bit of information they have, it's called the knowing doing gap. We have the information, but we're not doing the habits. I know I need to lose weight. I know I need to go to the gym. I know I need to eat correctly. There is nothing on this podcast that I could tell people about dieting that they don't already know. It's simple. Eat the right foods and exercise. We all know it, but why aren't we doing it? That's the question. The same with real estate investing. Hey, it's simple. Find motivated sellers, right? Buy at a lower price. We know the information. How do you get the motivated sellers? There's only a couple of ways, right? We're not reinventing. You have postcards. You have call them. There's only 3 or 4 different ways to find them. What more information do we need? The issue is we know all the information. We have to do the habits, but you cannot physically do the habits at a high level, okay, unless it's in your subconscious. Here's another point for your listeners. Always remember this, and we're just touching on the tip of the iceberg. Your mind seeks pleasure, avoids pain. Seeks pleasure, avoids pain. So if there is something that you know you should be doing that you're not doing, if you know that it takes you 40 hours to get a deal, and that means you have to be on the phone 2 hours a day, but you don't get on the phone every day for 2 hours, guess what? In your mind, you're thinking that the phone is painful, right? You're thinking that I don't want to tie myself down. We have limiting beliefs. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I'm not smart enough. These are all what we call lies and limiting beliefs. And once you address these lies and limiting beliefs, and how do we address them? We talked earlier, words and pictures. So here's something. Instead of looking at 2 hours on the phone as an arduous, hard job, because as soon as you say it's hard for me to make phone calls, right? It's hard. I don't have the time. It's hard. What is your brain? Your mind is taking in that information. It's attaching a picture of hard to the phone calls. Now, what if I told you this, Charles? I said, hey, you're guaranteed to make $100,000. All you got to do is get on the phone, pretend like you're a treasure hunter and you're looking for a treasure. And you know, as soon as you find this treasure, it's $100,000. And this is what I do. In the beginning, you say, well, how does this work? My business is to call agents, okay? Agents and wholesalers. That's how I call to try to get business. There was a time where I was like, I don't want to make the phone calls. And the reason was it was boring. It was tired. I was getting a lot of no's. Once I learned about my subconscious, I flipped it, right? Because your mind lies to you. So now you lie to your mind. I would look at my phone and I would say, Nate, there's $100,000 deal in
Yep.
this phone right now. You don't need any
Yep.
more money. I mean, you don't need any more numbers. You have $100,000 deal in this phone. You have to find it. And so now I look at myself as a treasure hunter, and I get on the phone, and now my brain says pleasure. I'm seeking pleasure. So we avoid pain, seek pleasure. If there's something you're not doing, you're avoiding pain. Flip it, add pleasure to it, but you got to take a mental picture. I'll finish with this. If there's something you're seeking pleasure that you shouldn't be doing, like that chocolate cake that we shouldn't be eating, right? We know it's not going to give us the results we want. I'm on a diet. My family says, I thought you were on a diet. I was like, I am. Why you eat that chocolate cake? I don't know. It was because of my subconscious. As soon as I flipped the switch and I associated, I watched the video. This is, and we'll end it with this. This is crazy. And this is how I knew the subconscious worked. I was a sugar addict for 30 years, Charles. Literally, one of the reasons I couldn't get off it was I kept telling myself in my mind, it's going to be hard to get off of sugar. So right there, I was done. I kept saying, I'm a sugar addict. I was calling myself an addict. So my mind gives me exactly what I asked for. You're an addict. We're going to keep you an addict. As soon as I said, I am off of sugar, and I watched the video that showed amputations, diabetes, heart disease, all from sugar. So this video had sugar in it, and then it showed pictures of amputations, diabetes. I watched this same video 5 to 7 times a day. So now when I look at a piece of chocolate cake, I don't see pleasure. I see what? Pain. Exactly.
You flipped the script. Your mind flipped the script.
And this is, it sounds, once you learn the rules of engagement for your mind, that's when you always hear people say, your mind has limited potential. And I used to be one of the people that are probably on the podcast saying, man, that's just like a joke. These guys that make money, they were blessed. Like they came from money. They just have a special gift. I grew up in District Heights, Maryland. There is nothing special about me. It's once you figure out how your subconscious works, it's a game changer, Charles.
It reminds me of something that I've learned, I think about 15, 20 years ago. And I say it to this day. If you can be comfortable being uncomfortable, you can do anything.
There you go.
And that was the thing that really, like you mentioned, about the calls, knocking on the door, all that other stuff. It's not about mastering everything. And I remember the conversation we talked about at the actual Roof Chris, because I said, master one tool at a time. Fill up your toolbox.
Yes.
I remember that conversation.
Yes.
So, man, I got to say, this is some powerful information, Nate. What closing nugget, because you've given a lot in this last 45 minutes. What closing cerebral nugget you can give to those investors out there that say, okay, this is what you should do first?
All right. If I had to sum it up in a couple of words, dream big. Remember, do you want to be a car or do you want to be a rocket ship? Okay. Cars make 5 figures. Rocket ships are 7 figures and above. The only way to be a rocket ship is what? Fuel. We want RP1 fuel. The dreams have to be big. After that, like you said, I think you summed it up great. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, okay? Everyone has talent and abilities. I just want your listeners believe in yourself. You have all the tools necessary. You are special. God made every one of us super special. We all have the talent. We all have the ability to make it happen. The last word that I would say that really kind of changed my life is that focus on specific information and know that if there is something, a physical habit that you're not doing, it's not your fault. You have to start with the subconscious. And if people, want any more information on this, my phone line is always available. They can text, email. I'm always happy to share wisdom. And I learn a lot from you, Charles. And I just like to take, honestly and sincerely, I attribute a lot of my success. See, people don't know, I've known Charles for years.
Yeah.
I've known Charles for years before I even spoke to him. And, I probably never told you this, but part of my mindset was I was intimidated by you. And I even got over that mindset and got up the courage to introduce myself to you. And that just kind of changed the game. We all have our challenges, but just believe in yourself and know that you have the talent and ability, and you can take your game to that next level of whatever you want it to be.
Well, man, let me add on to that with the fact that it's a pleasure for me to be able to call you a friend, because over the years, it's been an even exchange, having the opportunity to come to DC, look at your company, see the things that you guys are doing, you and your brother. I mean, it's mind blowing from the growth from way back to where you are right now. And if there's anything that I can tell my listeners out there, man, you would be blessed to reach out to this brother, because without being commercial, he is the real deal. This is Charles Blair, the Mad Scientist, with my man Nate Joy signing out, and we'll see you in the next DURU Interviews. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.